I'm currently a 31-year-old dividend growth investor that's been buying stocks and ETFs for over 6 years now. Now, I started my portfolio just like many of you back in the day, buying a share of one single stock, which for me personally was one share of Capital One stock. Now, quickly after I bought that first share of Capital One stock, I was absolutely hooked, knowing because of that investment, I now owned a small, tiny piece of a massive company. Now, fast forward 6 or so years later, and this right here is just one of my dividend growth portfolios, which at the time of filming this video is currently worth around $496,000. Now, in this video, I'm going to go over and share with you every single position that I currently hold in this specific portfolio. And on top of that, towards the end of the video, I'm going to share with you exactly how much dividend income I earn on a consistent basis. Now, of course, if this interests you at all, as always, make sure to please drop a like down below and subscribe for more future content like this. So here we go. This is one of my largest dividend growth portfolios, like I said a minute ago, and I do have other portfolios across different brokerages. I don't like to keep too much money in any single brokerage because, of course, of the insurance limits. Now, getting right into it, my biggest position as of right now in this portfolio is my 1,000 shares of Apple stock, which I bought quite a while ago. And although I didn't buy these 1,000 shares of Apple at one given time, it took me a very long time to acquire this many shares. I've been holding on to them for a while now, selling covered calls and earning the dividends along the way. Now, my next biggest position in this portfolio is my 915 shares of Realty Income, ticker symbol O. Now, I would consider myself more of a dividend income focused investor, although I don't really invest in super high yield stuff as you're going to see across my portfolio. I'm sort of somewhere in the middle when it comes to yield. I think this portfolio, combining everything, is probably yielding around 4 or 5%. But across all my portfolios, I currently have around 2,600 shares of Realty Income, but just in this portfolio, just over 900. Next, I have 1,100 shares of Devo. Devo, or the Amplified Enhanced Dividend Income ETF, is one of my favorite. It's a really high quality ETF that also uses covered calls. Definitely check out Devo if you haven't already. Next, we got some higher yield stuff. I got around 671 shares of JEPI in this portfolio. I got 1,000 shares of Verizon. BST, a BlackRock fund, BlackRock Science and Technology. We have around 500 shares of that. Then we got one of my favorite higher yielding stocks. We have Enterprise Products Partners with a starting yield of around 7%. Enterprise Products is one of my favorite, around 550 shares of that. Next, we have my 100 shares of JP Morgan, which I have held for many years now. JEPQ, 300 shares of that. QYLD, we have 820 shares of that. SCHD, my favorite dividend growth ETF, around 179 shares of SCHD in this portfolio, but throughout all my portfolios, I think I have around 500 shares. Next, 1,661 shares of BDJ. We got 300 shares of OHI. We got 185 shares of QYLD, 115 of Altria, 215 of Nusi. Next, we have 107 shares of one of my favorite REITs, National Retail. We got 24 shares of UPS, which I've also been holding onto these 24 shares for many years now. 47 shares of PNW, 419 shares of ETJ. We got 48 shares of WPC, 77 shares of Vici, 442 shares of MPW. We got 55 shares of Main in this portfolio. We got 26 shares of VNQ. We got 16 shares of EXR, 81 shares of BUI, 15 shares of SPG, 58 shares of UTG, 50 shares of WBA, 59 shares of KMI. QQQX, we have 42 shares. PBA, Bambina, 20 shares. We got 6 shares of T-Row, 12 shares of SPYI, 4 shares of DLR. We do also have a little bit of TSLY, 25 shares of Tesla, 8 shares of Stag, 7 shares of Swell, 7 shares of Aptly, 1 share of KMB, 10 shares of HRZN, 10 shares of RQY, 3 shares of EMB, 4 shares of CEFD, 4 shares of ABR, and then just a share or so of ADC, SPHD, TRP, AMZY, ARCC, and 10 shares of AWP. So that right there is the entire portfolio, which again is currently valued at around $500,000. And before we dig into the dividend income for this portfolio, please drop your favorite ticker in the comments so far. So next, here is the estimated income for the portfolio as far as dividend income on a consistent basis. Now keep in mind, these are only estimated numbers. Some of you are going to say things in the comments like the dividends per share are not correct on some of the ETFs. That do change, of course, on like a monthly basis, but that's why it's just an estimate. As of right now, that portfolio I just went through with you though is now paying me around $2,100 or so on a monthly basis, or around $25,600 on a yearly basis. Now keep in mind, this portfolio has been in the works for many years now. This number did not happen overnight. This happened from consistent deposits from my active income over a very long time frame. And on top of that, every single dividend that I was paid, for the most part, from every single stock and ETF in this portfolio that pays dividends, of course, has been reinvested into more shares on a consistent basis. Now also, I'm not making this video to brag by any means. I know there's plenty of investors out there that earn this much on a weekly basis or even more. But I do think it's really cool to show you a portfolio that I've been building for around 6 years now, and hopefully it gives you some insight and some motivation along the way. But to look at some of my top dividend payers on a monthly basis, we have things like SCHD that pays around $3,500 on a yearly basis. Then our next biggest payer is Realty Income, then Verizon, QYLD, Devo, JEPQ, and so on and so forth. And stay tuned and subscribe, because in the future I'm going to make a video going through all the dividend income that every single position has paid me over the life of holding onto this portfolio, because I feel like that could be very interesting to look through. Now, looking through all these different holdings of mine, certain names are going to pay, of course, higher yields than others, and that's going to result in less or more dividend income on a quarterly or monthly basis. Now, something like Apple, for example, I of course did not buy the 1,000 shares of Apple to earn a lot off the dividend income. I bought Apple as a growth play, and it's played out pretty well so far. But other names in the portfolio, something like QYLD or even JEPQ, were pretty much purchased to boost up my dividend income on a monthly basis, because I have a goal that I'm trying to get to as far as overall dividend income across all my portfolios, and I'm not going to stop until I get there. As of right now, as a 31-year-old dividend growth investor, I'm trying to gather as much dividend income as possible on a monthly, quarterly basis, etc. because I'm looking to build a massive snowball from different stocks and ETFs and reinvest those dollars as of right now, where I'm at in my life currently, to buy more stocks and ETFs that also pay dividends. And by doing this for around 6 or 7 years now, I've been able to create quite the compounding machine, which now throughout all my investment vehicles, I earn somewhere around $6,000 or so on a monthly basis. Now, the goal is to hopefully do this until the portfolio is much larger than all of my monthly income combined. And then at that point, I can of course choose or choose not to work, and will of course be officially financially free. So there we have it, the exact results of what I was able to create by investing consistently over the last 6 or so years. Now, I know not every single investment choice that I've made throughout my investing journey over the last 6 years was necessarily the best choice, of course. I've dealt with things like stocks being down 50+%. I've even dealt with things like dividend cuts, which definitely sting as a dividend-focused investor. But with all that said, I still do think that dividend investing long-term is like molding a clay pot. And the more and more that you work it, the better and better the outcome is going to get. And dividend growth investing for me as a 31-year-old as right now is going to be a hobby, a job, whatever you want to call it, for many years from now. Now, the main reason I got into dividend growth investing a long time ago was because I had a dream that someday I'd be able to build a big enough portfolio to allow the dividends alone to be able to pay for all the expenses in my life on a monthly basis. Now, since I created that dream, I've actually been able to do so, and as of right now, my dividend income does surpass my bills on a monthly basis. But because I'm only a 31-year-old investor, I want to keep on going. I want to keep investing more and more to get my dividend income up higher, to be able to hopefully live whatever life I want to in the future. But now I want to hear from you guys down below. Out of all the different stocks that you saw in my portfolio today, which is your favorite name? Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.